Now, this is breaking news from the WCCO Live Desk on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning, I'm Maria Lizignoli. Thanks for joining us at the Live Desk. We begin with breaking news. Dr. Jeff Johnson has dropped out of the race for Minnesota governor after his daughter was killed over the weekend. The Republican Party of Minnesota released a statement saying Johnson's daughter was killed in a violent crime Saturday night in St. Cloud. The party also says in part, quote, out of respect for his family and the enormity of his loss, Jeff has suspended his campaign for governor of Minnesota. We ask all Minnesotans to join us in lifting up the Johnson family during this incredibly painful time. We also extend our gratitude to the first responders and law enforcement officers involved and ask for patience and compassion as the investigation continues. Also new this morning, Dr. Scott Jensen is pulling out of the governor's race and will instead seek the office of state auditor. In his announcement from just the last couple of hours, he pointed to the fraud in Minnesota and said in part, quote, I am ready and determined to be the person who opens up the hood and looks at what the engine of our government is doing and not doing and fix it. The switch comes less than a month after he revealed his running mate in the governor's race. Jensen served in the Minnesota Senate from 2017 to 2021. A 3-month review is examining where Minnesota Medicaid programs are vulnerable to fraud. The state is partnering with United Healthcare company Optum to develop technology that will flag fraud. They're using data analytics and AI to look for weaknesses and build an automated service to review medical claims before they're paid. Happening in 1 hour, an update on Minnesota's paid leave program. The Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, also known as DEED officials are expected to provide an update later this morning. And the program launched January 1st, and just 2 weeks later, leaders said that they had received more than 25,000 applications. The program allows employees to receive 12 weeks of partial pay for medical leave. Applicants can qualify more than once, with leave capped at 20 weeks per year. Tomorrow, top immigration officials will be on Capitol Hill to testify on an oversight hearing. ICE senior official Todd Lyons and Customs Border and Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott will be among those called to testify. This is for the House Committee on Homeland Security. The Senate Committee on Homeland Security will meet on Thursday. Now, that meeting comes just 1 day before the deadline to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats have issued a list of reforms they want to see before approving funding. They want mandatory body cameras, a ban on face coverings, and tightened use of warrants. If an agreement isn't reached, ICE and CBP will continue operating with money set aside in last year's Big Beautiful Bill. Other agencies, though, like FEMA, the Coast Guard, and TSA, would shut down. Most immigrants arrested by ICE during President Trump's first year back in office were not accused of violent crimes. This is according to an internal Department of Homeland Security document obtained by CBS News. The document shows ICE made nearly 393,000 arrests between January 2025 and the end of last month. If we look at this chart breaking down the arrests, you can see less than 14% of those arrested had charges or convictions for violent offenses. About 40% had no criminal record at all and were detained only for civil immigration violations. Overall, nearly 60% of those taken into custody had some type of criminal history. But most cases involved non-violent offenses such as DWI, drug, or immigration-related crimes. And here's why all that matters. The administration has repeatedly said things like the surge in the Twin Cities were focused on the worst of the worst. Meanwhile, we're now hearing from Becca Good, the wife of Renee Good. Renee was killed by an ICE agent a little more than a month ago. Now, Becca said after seeing Minneapolis react to Renee's death, she is proud to call the city home. She released this new photo Saturday saying, quote, seeing the world now celebrate the parts of her that I've always known, the kindness, the humor, the warmth, reminds me of her spirit. And we believed that every life deserves the same care, treatment, and dignity, no matter who they are or what they look like. The family of 5-year-old Liam Ramos will have more time to make their case for asylum in the U.S. A family attorney says a federal judge granted a continuance Friday. DHS wanted to end asylum claims for the family, but the judge gave them extra time. The preschooler and his Ecuadorian father were taken from their suburban Minneapolis driveway last month to a family detention center in Texas. He wasn't the only student taken. Elizabeth Zuna was returned home to Minnesota this week after being detained for a month. She's a 4th grader at Columbia Heights Public Schools. The district says ICE detained Elizabeth and her mother and sent them to a federal detention center in Texas. The school believes at least 3 other students in the district are still in federal custody. Now, this was a big weekend in the world of sports. The NFL season officially wrapped up. We're taking a look at some of the biggest moments from last night, plus a pretty heartbreaking end for Lindsey Vonn at the Olympics. We'll have more on that to come, but we're also looking live outside, and it's not too bad out. A brand new forecast with Joseph Dames is right after the break.
Now, from the WCCO Live Desk, you're watching
Good morning. Welcome back to the Live Desk. We are taking a live look outside downtown Minneapolis first because right now it is just about almost not freezing. Current temperature on our rooftop is 31 degrees. Feels like 28 degrees, but hey, I will take it. It's not gonna be that bad out today. Let's check in though with meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Hi, meteorologist Joseph Dames. Here we are in a Monday, new week, and it is still mild outside. All right, we cooled down a little bit on Saturday. We brought back some warmth Sunday with some sunshine, and I hope you had a nice weekend. Now we kick things off with some mild temperatures for our Monday. 38 out of Bemidji and 40 for Hackensack today, and there's going to be some clouds around. But later this afternoon into the evening, coming out of those clouds, maybe some very light rain. And late tonight, maybe some snow in western Wisconsin with a weak disturbance that's going to move on through. Until then, it is going to be cloudy and it is going to be warm. 42 for Anoka, 41 out of Wilmer, and 44 for Montevideo. Today's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees above average across the area and even warmer down south. It's potential for even some 50s down in areas like Worthington. I want to show you the afternoon evening because here comes that band of moisture, and it's going to take some time to actually get some of that moisture down to the surface because that layer near the surface is quite dry right now. And so we need to get things more saturated, and I believe that will happen late tonight, but whatever we end up with will probably be very, very light until maybe after about 9-10 p.m. where it might become a little more consistent over in western Wisconsin. Some of our counties there over towards Washburn and Burnett County there, that's where we may see some, steadier precip late tonight. That could make things kind of slippery into tomorrow morning, but I don't think the road's going to be too problematic with any sort of, ice out there. But that is something that we'll monitor as we head into Tuesday morning, meaning you can join us and we will have updates for you as we go into tomorrow. All right, we will clear out the clouds. We'll bring back the sun. We'll hold on to some sunshine on Wednesday as well. So I think once we break into that on Tuesday, we'll stay pretty clear and we'll keep it going on Wednesday as well. Late Wednesday night to Thursday, okay, here comes a chance for some snow. Even with some mild air around this week, we still have a couple moments where it should cool down enough to maybe get some snow. And one of those being late tonight in western Wisconsin, the second being Thursday morning for southwest Minnesota and potentially the metro area. Notice that snow kind of spreads into the area by the time we get to the morning commute on Thursday, though it may hold off. And then it kind of sticks around south of the 94 corridor for southern Minnesota through the day, transitioning over to more of a wintry mix. So keep your eyes out for maybe some moisture and some snow on Thursday morning. We'll have those updates. Right behind it, it's still quite mild. We're still going to go with 40 on Thursday, 43 on Friday, 44 on Saturday, 43 on Sunday. So a very mild weekend coming our direction with the coldest days being tomorrow and Wednesday with highs still above freezing. You can get more updates at CBS News Minnesota and WCCO. We'll see you there.
All right, Joseph, thanks. The NFL season has come to an end, and the Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl 60 champions. They bested the New England Patriots yesterday, 29-13. It's the second Vince Lombardi trophy in franchise history, thanks in large part to its dark side defense, which forced 3 turnovers, came away with 6 sacks, and held the Patriots to just 2 touchdowns. Former Viking Sam Darnold threw for 202 yards and 1 touchdown for the Birds. Meanwhile, Drake May, only in his second season, went 27 for 43, 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. But those sacks and 2 interceptions would be too much for the Patriots to overcome. The game's MVP was Kenneth Walker, the first running back to take the title since 1998.
If I would tell myself as a kid right now, I wouldn't have guessed that I would be the one to win the MVP. So it's just a real moment, and it doesn't happen without the guys in the locker room.
And one of the most anticipated moments of the night every single year, the halftime show. Bad Bunny brought the party to Levi's Stadium. The singer moved through the Puerto Rico-inspired set while performing several of his biggest hits. He also brought out 2 guests, Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin. He ended his performance by shouting out countries across the Americas while the Jumbotron read, "The only thing stronger than hate is love." The only thing stronger than hate is love. Now, the other big sports news, especially for us here in Minnesota, a scary and heartbreaking crash on the slopes for hometown legend Lindsey Vonn. Now, we know she broke her left leg competing in the Olympics Sunday, but we're still waiting for more details this morning. Vonn was less than 13 seconds into her run when she struck a gate and flung sideways. The race was put on hold as the 41-year-old was cared for. She was put on a stretcher and taken by helicopter to be evaluated. The crash comes just 9 days after tearing her ACL in her last pre-Olympics race. Now, we heard from fans out at Buck Hill yesterday, Vonn's childhood ski hill, of course, and they say the crash doesn't take away from her legacy.
I love Lindsey. We were so proud of her, and we knew she would have done a great job, and we have to give her so much credit for trying and doing her best. And that was a fall no one could recover from.
Everybody loves the comeback. Ex-champion comes back, does great, and at some point the chain just ends, and this might be it for her, but what a run.
What a run indeed. Now, the silver lining, Vonn's teammate Breezy Johnson from Wyoming took home gold in the event. This was the first medal for Team USA at these Olympic Games. Johnson held on for the lead by just 0.04 seconds. And get this, the only other woman to win the downhill event for Team USA, Lindsey Vonn, 16 years ago. Now, if you're keeping track, here's our latest count for medals so far. Italy leads with 9 total, 1 gold. U.S. has 2 medals, both gold. Norway has 6, 3 gold. Japan has 4, 1 gold. Youth sports can be fun, but also it takes a lot of dedication. We're getting some advice for parents on how to support kids playing sports. And we're checking out some vintage treasures that you can find for your loved ones this Valentine's Day.